The alarm in my skull went off the moment the airlock hissed open, and every instinct in my body told me to run. My name is Zek, and I am a xenobiologist from the Tessari Accord. I had studied humans for 6 years from a safe distance, through reports, through recordings, through warnings passed down from other species who had crossed paths with them and barely lived to tell the story. I knew the numbers. 3 invasions wiped out, fleets that should have won, gone in a single day, a species that laughed while their ships burned around them. Every briefing I had ever read said the same thing. Humans are the most dangerous life form in the known galaxy. So when I stepped onto that station, my hands were shaking. I expected soldiers. I expected armor, weapons, cold eyes watching my every move. What I got instead was a young human named Nora, leaning against the wall in loose clothing, holding a warm drink in one hand, and waving at me with the other like I was an old friend arriving late for dinner. "You must be Zek," she said. "Dana's expecting you. Come on, don't be shy." I did not move. My translator must have failed because nothing about this greeting matched anything in my training. Where was the tension? Where was the show of strength? I searched her face for a threat and found only a lazy smile. "I was told to report to a diplomatic office," I said carefully. "Yeah, that's her quarters. She likes doing the first meeting somewhere comfortable, less scary that way." Nora laughed like the idea of humans being scary was a joke. "Follow me." I followed, because refusing felt more dangerous than obeying. Every step down that corridor, my mind screamed that this was a trap, that soldiers would appear behind every corner, that this friendliness was bait before the real horror began. Nothing happened, we just walked. When the door to Dana's quarters slid open, my heart nearly stopped. Not because of a soldier, not because of a weapon. Because of the creature standing in the middle of the room. It was massive, easily the size of me, with a wide head, sharp teeth on full display, and eyes locked directly on me the second I entered. Every survival instinct I had screamed one word: predator. I do not remember deciding to scream. It simply happened. I stumbled back into the wall, and my hand went for the emergency signal on my wrist before a voice cut through my panic. "Whoa, whoa, hey, it's okay." A woman rushed forward, stepping between me and the creature like that would somehow save her. "That's just Kip. He's harmless, I promise." "That is a predator," I managed to say, my voice cracking. "Its teeth alone could tear through." "He wants a belly rub," the woman said simply. I stared at her. Then I stared at the creature, which had now flopped onto its back on the floor, tongue out, tail thumping against the ground in what I would later learn was pure joy. "I'm Dana," the woman said, offering a hand I was too stunned to take. "Sorry about that. Kip gets excited about new smells. He's a good boy, aren't you?" The creature made a happy sound and rolled further onto its back, completely exposing its belly to 2 strangers in the room. In the wild, exposing a vital area like that to unfamiliar beings would be suicide. Here, it was apparently an invitation to be touched. I sat down slowly, because my legs would not hold me any longer. "You keep this animal here," I said, "in your personal quarters, voluntarily." "Of course," Dana said, sitting across from me and pouring some kind of drink into a cup. "He's family, slept on my bed since he was a pup." I asked to see records. I do not know why. Perhaps some scientific part of my brain needed proof that what I was seeing was real and not some elaborate test. Dana, amused, pulled up her personal archive and let me search through it. What I found changed the way I understood this entire species. The creature called Kip was descended from wild ancestors that hunted in packs, brought down animals many times their size, and had jaws capable of crushing bone. Somewhere in human history, instead of avoiding these creatures, humans had chosen to live beside them, feed them, breed them, turn apex hunters into companions that slept at the foot of a bed. And it did not stop there. As I scrolled further, I found images of small clawed hunters humans called cats, Animals with reflexes and instincts built for the hunt, now curled up in laps, purring while being stroked. I found birds with beaks strong enough to break through the shells of hard nuts, now perched calmly on human shoulders, mimicking human speech for entertainment. "This one," I said, pointing to an image on the screen, my voice unsteady. "This is a venomous creature." "Oh, that's Ellis's snake," Dana said, glancing over. "Named her Noodle. Real sweetheart, though she does bite sometimes if she's startled." "And you allow this being to live in close quarters with you?" "She's in a tank, don't worry," Dana said, as if that explained everything, as if the presence of glass made a creature capable of ending a life into nothing more than a piece of furniture. I kept scrolling. My hands felt cold. There was a crewmate 2 decks down who kept a small container of what my database instantly flagged as a highly toxic arachnid, listed simply as a pet in the records, given a name, given a bed of soft material to rest in. "Why?" I finally asked, unable to hold the question back any longer. Would a species surrounded by danger every single day choose to bring more danger into their homes for comfort? Dana thought about this for a moment, scratching behind Kip's ear while he groaned in contentment. "I guess," she said, "because we're not scared of it. Something wild, something powerful, if you raise it with kindness, it becomes something else. Doesn't mean the danger disappears. Means we trust each other enough not to need it." That answer sat heavy in my chest the rest of the visit. The talks that followed the meal were formal, structured, exactly as my briefings had described. Dana spoke with confidence, showed no signs of aggression, made no threats. She was polite, even warm. But every time I looked past her shoulder and saw Kip resting near the door, watching everything with calm, sharp eyes, I understood something that no report had ever explained to me. The stories about humans were not wrong. They were incomplete. Every species that had come before me had studied human weapons, human ships, human tactics in battle. None of them had asked the real question. What does a species do with power when no one is watching? What do they do in their own homes, behind closed doors, when there is no war to fight and no enemy to face? Humans took the deadliest things they could find and turned them into companions, not because they had tamed away the danger, but because they had built something stronger than fear: trust. And if that was what they did with monsters for comfort, I did not want to imagine what they were capable of when someone gave them a real reason to fight. Before I left the station that day, Dana walked me back to the airlock, Kip trotting happily beside her the entire way. At the door, the creature suddenly turned, sat directly in front of me, and lifted one paw toward me like an offering. "He wants to shake," Dana said, smiling. "It's a greeting, means he likes you." I looked down at that paw, thick and strong enough to knock me over without effort, and slowly, carefully, I reached out and touched it. Nothing happened, no attack, no danger, just warmth and a happy sound from deep in the creature's chest. I stepped back through the airlock in silence, my mind racing the entire way to my ship. That night, I filed my full report to the Tessari Council. I wrote down everything: the meeting, the creatures, the records, the calm way an entire species lived surrounded by danger they had chosen to love instead of destroy. At the very end of my report, I added one final line, a warning I hoped every future diplomat sent to meet humanity would read carefully before stepping foot on one of their stations. Do not provoke a species that looks at the deadliest creatures in the galaxy and simply calls them good boy.